access to capital, which I think has been touched upon today. And fundamentally, I think that this needs to be driven by right from the ground up. So access to capital for innovators. Ethel was talking about the Kenyan entrepreneur that's operating in the data space, couldn't find a bank to partner with, is now trying to raise money to set up a small bank. That kind of capital typically comes from early stage venture capital funds, which we don't really have many of here in Ghana. Angel investors, also very scarce here in Ghana. And government funds that have been set up to support the growth of the venture capital and angel investment industry. So I think that we first need to kind of hit that nail on the head. We need to start finding and allocating capital to fund innovation if we really want to be able to see, the sustainability of, these innovative businesses. So I would rather take it from a much broader perspective.
Okay, and this is what Israel did, and today they're reaping the benefits and they're all rich. Let's go to...
Exactly.
Yes.
Silicon Valley too, right, has been supported by that same nature. So we can't fast track the process. We need to go through the process of putting the fundamentals in place to create that enabling environment for all of the other pieces of the ecosystem to come together.
Okay, so now to you, Dominique Edu, CEO of FNB.
Sure.
Tell us about the role of finance and in how businesses sustain their profitability, and what is working and what can be done.
Okay. Should I try and answer this question first? And if I can recall, is to do with whether we have the capacity to innovate in the country. Well, I think capacity now is global. You're not limited to the resources you have in your country. It was mentioned earlier by someone that if you want the best professor, it's cheaper and far more accessible now than it used to be. So I think talent is everywhere, and you can always import it, to just as happened in the Zambian case. So I don't think we're limited there. But the role of finance, we banks are financial intermediaries. That's our role. Our role is to take money from some people, lend it to other people. If we don't lend, we don't make money. We have to lend. That lending may be by way of buying government bonds. That's also lending. So our role is to take money and direct it sustainably to the institutions and individuals who can pay us back. Because we have a responsibility, whether it's a short-term, medium-term, long-term, to preserve the capital of those who give us the money to lend. Earlier, there was issue about data. Banks have a lot of data. We have systems, analytics done for us every day. So our decisions are not just taken, without data. We actually rely on the data that we have generated internally to take decisions as to who we lend to. Now, the issue has been whether or not we have data from external parties, and I think that role, FinTech would definitely be able to deliver that. There's no way we can get information on the Makola woman. The cost of doing that as an organization wouldn't give us the benefit, and that's where FinTech has that role of gathering that information to help us make better decisions. But in terms of sustainability, we actually advise. There was a time when banks only lent money to their clients. Now we create relationships. Mentioned earlier about ecosystem. We try to help our customers know the ecosystem within which they work. In fact, we like banking the ecosystem because we get to have earlier signals of failure or success from, for example, the supplier to the manufacturer. So we go beyond lending and actually provide advice, and we're always available. Indeed, sometimes we provide systems that allow customers to plug into our systems to make the operations easier. So we're always available, and we'd always, almost by default, channel the funds to the areas that are viable.
Okay, so Daniel, to you, the same question, but with a twist. And I love pushing very difficult questions to you because I've known you for quite some time and I know you can do it. Look, the question is about the role of finance in how businesses sustain their profitability. And we know that the interest rates are just so high. I also understand that the dynamics underpinning those high interest rates make sense to a lot of us. And yet, we should force ourselves somehow to help these SMEs grow. How do we do this? Now, so it's in the same line of questioning, but let's see how these high interest rates sort of contribute to not really helping these businesses sustain profitability, because it's so cannibalistic, isn't it?
Yeah, thanks, Prince. And yes, we will not go into why the dynamics and where the interest rates are, because it's a much bigger macroeconomic question. But banks have also, to a large extent, worked together with state agencies and the like over the years to moderate the effect of these interest rates on businesses. And so there's been programs over the years, and I can remember some of them from way back, the Japanese grant, this grant, the grants from the Ministry of Finance. So what I'm saying is that policy interventions working together with banks, right, to moderate the effect of those interest rates. There's also the issue that there are plenty of times when what that SME needs is not a loan, you see. Now, again, going back to what we said earlier, when you have an SME that's launching a product from day one, or that's just started and has an idea, at that point, you don't have cash flows to support that idea. What you need is patient capital. Now, banks, by our very nature, are not structured to provide that patient capital, right? And that's why within that financing ecosystem, the likes of the angel investors that have been mentioned, the likes of the venture capitalists and those early stage investors need to come in to complement what banks can do. So there's a wider conversation. There are lots of things that have to be done to moderate those effects of interest rates, as you put it.
That's a very, very good answer. And this brings to mind a discussion I had with Letitia Brown, I think, a couple of months ago, about, you know, angel investors needing between 25 and 100,000 US dollars to help some startups actually plug themselves into the global market or the global economy. And yet GIPCs, there is a GIPC regulation that limits investments or foreign investments at, I think, 200,000. And so there is a mechanism that needs to be put in place. We're not saying let's try and breach the law, but a mechanism can be put in place to allow these startups to work on systems that will, I just got an idea. Why don't we create some sort of consortia under an umbrella company that brings all these angel investors together, and with that can sort of access that kind of capital, that kind of FDI. Why aren't we doing that?
And Prince, if I may, you're very right, you understand. And when you started, you spoke about angel. There's a global angel investor network, right? And I'm sure some of us are clued into that. But why can't we have that here? That $100,000 you spoke about, if we have this network here, then that person goes into the network, pitches the idea, and somebody picks it up and says, okay, I can run with this idea. I'm sure that I like the idea, I like the cash flow projections, and I'm sure it will make money for me in the long term, you know. We also, as people, need to move away from short-term approach to everything we do, short-term approach to even our financing decisions, to begin to look long-term. We're all investing in short-term instruments, right? Whilst there is much more money to be made if we invest over the longer term in businesses.
All right. Thank you very much. I know you have something to say, but let's go to, oh, you don't have anything to say. Let's go to Ethel, and then we'll go to Mr. Jumon, and then we'll go to our gentleman from Deloitte. His name just escaped me. I'm sorry. So, Ethel.
We do have an angel network in Ghana. Letitia, I think Letitia will best speak to that. I know that and I'm not proposing to speak for Letitia, but I think one of the big things with convincing middle income and high net worth individuals is that it's patient capital. And a lot of people don't understand what it means to invest. And I say to people when they come to us, and when this year there's been a couple of exits, right? So Paystack, which is a payment platform out of Nigeria, payment platform is reducing it, but just so people understand, was bought by Stripe, which is a global payment platform for $200 million. So two very young small boys have now, accelerated their lives. And all of a sudden people were having conversations about, but we want to invest in this. And also, well, when you're going to do angel investing, understand that it's money, you have to think of it as money that you're not going to need for the next 10 years. So if your plan shouldn't be, I'm going to put money in this fintech, and then you'll be stressing the CEO out for the next 5 years to bring you returns. No, it's patient capital. It's money you don't need for the next 10 years. I would like to see more women-led, because that's important to me. High net worth, middle income women, whether it's when I say, look, you and your friends, everybody chip in whatever it is, to $2,000 to $10,000 over time, and make investments, and maybe join, because there are issues with having to do your own due diligence. Then talk to Letitia that has the network of skill sets that you need to do due diligence. Make sure that you're not paying for somebody to go on holiday, and then we're slowly, whether it's piecemeal by piecemeal, you're doing angel investment. So a lot of people in the room here, if you're earning if you're middle income, earning an appreciable amount of money, you should be able to start angel investing. Yes, you can have a conversation. Somebody will tell you, let me speak chief for those. Because to Myanmar or China, I will get more money than this thing that you're telling me. But then it's a risk you're taking. You're doing a number of investments. One might give you 100x in the next 10 years. But that is the very nature of angel investing. So that's part of the conversation. Maybe Letitia, I'm sorry. This was, a little bit more, just the financing space. And then when you grow enough and you get to a place, the banks will chase you for a fact. When you are in that place, that the banks will come. They'll find you. They'll come and knock. They'll tell you, don't you need a loan? So you start with the angels, and then when you need the banks, they'll
so
show up.
I guess patient capital will come from perhaps 4 sources, as one of your colleagues would say, and fools and angel investors. Shall we come? Friends, family, and fools. And let's come to you, Mr. Nana Jomo Bennett.
That is true, but thankfully there is a 5th source of funding that is becoming quite topical and popular these days, which I think Letitia alluded to. We have some development agencies and some funds who are quite serious about helping us to develop this sector, which is the SME sector. I think for us as banks, sustainability is important to us, because without the customers, we are not there. And therefore, we actually have to work with the customers to ensure that their businesses are sustainable, so that we continue to be sustainable. I think the key thing for us is we need to build a lot of credibility, because this is the other thing that is missing. Promote years, but sometimes they do not attract the funding, because for one reason or another, the credibility is not there. And that speaks to capacity. That speaks to us working in partnership, so that they position and they put their proposal in a way that can also be able to attract some of these funding. And the second thing for us is, even for businesses that are sort of live and are starting to be in the books, for us to get the data and use the data as an advisory tool, so maybe you want to build a new office, but once we have the discussion, so perhaps delay it until you get to a certain level. And it's all those sort of conversations that we need. are very eager to engage with our clients so that their businesses gain that sort of credibility, and it can attract funds from development agencies and then from ourselves as well, because it's sort of a partnership that we do. Thankfully, the environment, the economy, the business environment, and even the government agencies are all very keen for us to develop this. And now banks are well capitalized. Sometimes we come together in club or syndicated deals to be able to finance some of these big projects that one person cannot sort of take on their own. But we just need to build that credibility for our customers, and we need to encourage a certain discipline such that we are able then to work together with them to grow the business. And I think the gentleman who asked the question about talent, when it comes to fintech, there's a lot of talent in Ghana. In fact, some research I've seen point to Kenya, Nigeria, and Ghana in terms of the talent for this. And it's no surprise that companies like Twitter want to sort of come and settle or set up here. And so there's a lot of talent out there that is available for us to tap into.
Okay. So, Mr. Nana Jamo Bene put the banks at the very, very end. So, with family, you go to friends, you look for the fools, and then the angels, and then the development partners, and then when your risks have been assessed clearly.
Because the secret is that the funding we give from the banks is related, positively correlated with the risk that you are taking. And therefore, you want to start first with the capital that's not that expensive. And then when you get to that point where your risk has now been determined, the credibility issue, you can then go to the banks. Like Ethel has said, 2 or 3 banks are asking you. You can then negotiate from a point of strength, rather than if you start, because when you start the business, you can have hiccups, and that then increases the cost of the financing that you're using to have to run the business.
So, to those of us listening without finance backgrounds, in development finance and development economics, we say that anthropology, history, and whatnot matter. And so that if you're looking at the collective, the population, and you have a lot of entrepreneurs going for loans and not paying back, or a lot of NPLs, non-performing loans, being created, you're making it difficult for other people to go for loans. And those who get the loans will pay high interest rates. That's just how banks operate. And so, yes, let's come to you. And then we'll go to Daniel Kwejo Owusu, Country Managing Partner, Deloitte, and we'll ask the same question. So let's come to you, and then we'll do the last question.
I've already had my opportunity for final remarks, but seeing as the conversation drifted towards angel investing, and I think anybody that knows me knows how passionate I am. I've knocked on Dominic's door many times with my proposals and so forth in the past. We do actually have an angel investor network in Ghana. It's called the Accra Angels Network. We are now in conversations with the development partners who are able to provide some training for investors that want to understand this asset class more thoroughly and want to participate. When we're talking about $100,000, I think it gets people a little bit nervous because not a lot of people can afford to lose $100,000, and that's the reality with angel investing, right? There's no guarantee that you get 100x on like a pay stack deal or anything. You could literally lose everything. That's the reality of it. But we could also do smaller investments through syndicates, like Ethel said, $5,000 to $10,000. And then the network is literally there to support you in terms of doing your due diligence, presenting credible founders and credible deals so we don't get those runaways that you were just referring to. So I just wanted to just say that there is a mechanism there, there's a framework, there's an establishment. So if you're interested in participating in this, Accra Angels Network, they have a website. You can go online, you can sign up as an investor, or you can sign up and as an entrepreneur and submit your proposal too. And I know that there's also a lot of work being done with Ghana Enterprises Agency to also help them to set up a fund to support very early stage businesses as well. So there are ongoing initiatives. We don't always need to look to what's happening in the West. There's a lot happening in Ghana right now as well.
Wonderful. I stand corrected. about the role of finance for businesses sustain their profitability. What is one? What more can be done? Daniel Kojo Owusu, Country Managing Partner, Deloitte Ghana.
Thank you. And Francis, I see that you have a lot of banking executives there, so you're enjoying the conversation. But it's fine; they have the money, so it's good. So I see the conversation is going towards good. I want to touch on just one or 2 points, then I can then answer your direct question. So one of the discussions was on how the new way of working, and then I wanted to bring something across. So in terms of the new way of working, where we balance it, people working from home and working from the office is good. We need to also be considerate about what businesses do people do. So you have a situation where people are working from home, it's all right. The business that I do is not everything that you can do from home. There's a lot of customer information you take. You cannot do your board meetings at home where people, your children will not allow you to have that privacy. So I thought I should bring this up. So there is going to be, we need to find a middle ground where we can then say this is the point that we need, and that middle ground is what we're talking about. So I think it's very good. There was also an issue about SMEs and how they open up their business. So one of the concerns, and I think people should know, that banks don't have money sitting there. The monies they have are our monies we put there, is that we put there that they can lend to you. So when you go to take money from a bank, you go to use it, you bring it back. We have a culture where people get money and they try to use it for different purposes than they have taken it. Other people have ideas. When they open up, they are opening up that their businesses will be taxed. The tax person will come and also tax them. So they are not willing to open up their business. And this can affect their ability to secure funding from these banks. Now to your question about how finance can drive business. So finance is so key, and I will take it away from the general finance that have been discussed by the bankers. I will take it to the SMEs. What do the finance process do for an SME business? So in terms of being able to identify your revenue streams, in terms of being able to plan your things, in terms of being able to do your reconciliations, in terms of being able to be innovative, you need to have your finance around you. When at the heat of the pandemic, all we're looking at is what do we have? How are we able to survive the business? What do we have? Business, how much cash do we have in terms of meeting our short-term needs and all of that? So your question, finance is so important. And we think that if you are a business or you are an SME, you need your finance around, and then you need the data. We've talked a lot about data. You need them to be able to help you to make those important decisions. For example, you need to go and talk to your bankers. You need to renegotiate your loans. You will need the finance, and we think we need to get to a situation where finance are put at the back end so that we move them to the front end so that they are part of the enablers in terms of the information they provide in our decision making so that we can take the business forward. And I'm talking about the SMEs. You need this information to make progress in what you do. So I think I will leave it here. Thank you, Francis.
Mr. Daniel Kojo Owusu, Country Managing Partner, Deloitte, Ghana. The Ghana's most respected CEO Breakfast Series is a quarterly program organized by the Business and Financial Times to bring together over 200 entrepreneurs, businessmen and women, thought leaders, financial experts and analysts, as well as SME owners to discuss mutual issues which affect their businesses, sectors, and the business climate in Ghana per time. We have been talking to a wonderful lineup of experts, and we have been dissecting the question of how finance and technology are driving adaptation and sustainability in business operations here in Ghana in 2021. So you've heard from Ethel Kofi, CEO of Edel Technologies and founder of Women in Technology. Dominic Edu, CEO of FNB Ghana. Daniel Kojo Owusu, Country Managing Partner, Deloitte Ghana. Letitia Brown, CEO, Intelligent Capital Group. Daniel Addo, CEO, Consolidated Bank Ghana. And finally, sponsor of this event alongside BNFT, Nana Jomo Bennett, CEO, Universal Merchant Bank, UMB. Thank you very much for making a date with us. We won't keep you much longer, so without much ado, we'll say thank you very much, and I will hand over to our CEO, Godwin. And all right.
Thank you so much, Mr. Moses. And please, I would admonish that we use the hand sanitizer since we were passing the microphone.
Okay, panelists, let's relieve you. You may take your seats.
Okay, and also there are hand sanitizers around. When you step outside, there are hand sanitizers. So please, please, please use a hand sanitizer before you leave. And thank you so much for being here with us, for staying through with us. I hope you've learned a lot. I hope we will practice what we learned. So this is not a 9-day wonder. And I want to say thank you to our head sponsor, UMB, Universal Merchant Bank. We are so grateful for sponsoring this event. Also to CBG, thank you so much. Dream Oval, Apps and Mobile Solutions, thank you so, so much. And to our media partners, we have Asasi Radio, ET Happy FM. We also have YFM, Studio HD. Please do not leave yet. We are going to have a group photograph. We'll take some pictures with our CEOs, with our sponsors, with everyone here. Don't forget to network. It's very important. Please, I'd like you to note that our next breakfast series takes place in August, so please pay attention to that. We have our Ghana Economic Forum, which will take place later in the year. We are 10 years old today. Also, our Money Summit comes off on the 25th of May, so please look out for that. And the BFT also organizes the Ghana Energy Summit, which will also come off later in the year. So look out for us. Visit us on all our social media platforms. We are the Business and Financial Times. Always grab a copy of the newspaper and follow us, or you can also subscribe to the digits. The moderators, the panelists, we need you up here to take pictures. So please, one come around. Let's take our photos before.